All right, so welcome back, everybody. If you are just joining us now for the first time, make sure that you go back and that you watch part one of the video for week 3. But I wanted to make sure that I had just the assignment and just the assessment in their own video so everybody would be able to kind of follow along. As I was stating earlier, I'm just going to show you how to set up page 1 of the week 3 assessment, and I'm going to leave the design at this point up to you. I'm not really going to do too much of a demo on that, and the reason why is I want to do a full demo tonight of the week 3 assignment for everybody to be able to follow along. All right, so let's take a look. We're going to be creating a postcard this week, so a really fun project. Our background is, part of our job as a graphic artist is to create multiple projects for one client. So it's important that all of the projects, that they contain several elements to show that they belong together. As designers, we're creating the face of the company for the world. That identity must be presented consistently or the end user will be confused. You don't want them to lay down on a table your menu and your postcard and not be able to tell that both items are for the same company, that are for the same restaurant. So again, suppose for example that you went to a store or you were trying to get to a store and you had the business card for their store and you're searching for the store itself. If the logo on the business card didn't match the logo on the building, it would probably be really hard for you to find the store. However, if the colors, the logo, and even the typography matched from the business card to the building and the signage, then we as a designer have created several different visual vehicles for our audience to be able to find us. So that's what we're doing this week with this postcard. You want to make sure that if somebody gets this postcard in the mail, that when they get to the restaurant and see the menu for the restaurant, they know they're at the right place. So typography and color palette are 2 of the key elements that give separate components within a campaign a cohesive feel. InDesign makes creating multiple campaign elements much faster by allowing us to actually import our style sheets. So last week we created those style sheets and we'll actually be able to import them into our file that we're going to create for our postcard, because why reinvent the wheel? So this assessment will evaluate your ability to reuse existing style sheets and color palettes that have been previously created by either yourself or another designer to maintain consistency for the client's overall brand. So I'm going to point this out right away. See where it says download sample document if you do not have style sheets from week 2's assignment. If you did not create style sheets last week, and you'll notice in my comments when I graded that I said, hey, you didn't create the style sheets last week, you can download the sample document and import the style sheets from that sample document. If you did create your style sheets, you'll import them the same way. You're just going to import them from your menu that you created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go as far as creating the new document with you and importing the style sheets. And then I'll kind of give you an idea of, how you might want to set up the buy one, get one half off, which is your headline. So we're going to have a new InDesign document. It's going to be 4 1/4 by 6 inches wide. It's going to have 1/8 of an inch bleed and 1/4 of an inch margin, which is smaller than what we did on our menu. And the reason why is this finished piece is also a smaller size. You're going to want to make sure that you uncheck spreads because we're going to have 2 pages, but we don't want it set up as spreads. Next, you're going to import the paragraph and character style sheets from your finished menu design from last week or from the document below. To do this, you'll open your paragraph style sheets panel, and then you'll go to the style panel options, which are those lines in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll click load all text styles, and then you'll go and find your menu InDesign file and load it from there. Often importing style sheets will import the necessary colors as well. But if they didn't come over, you'll follow the same exact instructions just in the swatches panel. Place one of the menu item photos from your project on page 1, filling the space from edge to edge, so that's all the way to the bleed lines, and extending to the frame to all bleeds, or you can utilize the photo below. And then using your character or paragraph style sheets, you want to add a headline, buy one, get one half off on the photo. You may change the color of the text so it's suitable for this design. So again, think of a postcard that you might have gotten from a restaurant in the mail that might have had buy one, get one half off on it. And think about that when you're putting this together, you know, the size of the text, how it draws the reader in. That's really, you know, that BOGO is really the focal point of that postcard, is to get people in the door. On page 2, you're going to insert the copy that's provided below. Again, remember to apply your paragraph and character style sheets, and then any other elements from your menu to help match to it. So you're going to want to add the logo from whatever restaurant that you used on page 1 or page 2, or maybe you want to add it to both pages. This postcard's not going to get mailed, so you can use all of the available space on both sides of the card. Then you're going to name your file DES 105, Assessment 3, your last name, package it and zip the folder, and then upload the zipped folder. And then where it says, oh, right here, download the zip file, which includes the text for page 2 of the postcard. This zip file also contains assets to complete this assessment if you did not complete your menu, where you would get the other content from the instructions above. So I'm going to download this real quick. Find it in my downloads. Oh, I already had it in here, but that's okay. So you can see we have text, Assessment 3 text. I'm just going to take a minute. And then under the provided materials, if needed, there is a frittata picture and the Starlight logo in there, and then also a sample style sheet. So if you did not create your menu, you would use those two things. So again, photo goes on photo side, buy one, get one half off, mailing side, logo, the address. So the address will be from your specific restaurant, buy one, get one half off, eat up our early bird specials, weekdays between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m., buy one appetizer or main dish and get one for half off, must present this coupon per person when ordering, not valid on already discounted specials. So remember how last week we went through the menu text and we figured out, you know, what's a headline? What might be a subheadline? What might be smaller text? Think of coupon offers that you get in the mail, and I probably have a couple of examples that I can show you randomly enough on my portfolio, because I used to design coupons for a living. So creating coupon examples is right up my alley. So many BOGOs. All right, here's a good example for edible arrangements. So we have save $5 on your next arrangement or box order. Then the small text, you know, your disclaimer text. Think about how, you know, even within the clip of the coupon, that certain things still have a headline, a subheadline, and then the smaller text. There's a hierarchy to how you should set up a coupon example. And the whole back of your postcard is kind of your entire coupon in a way. So you can put the logo, you know, think of it kind of as an entire coupon. I might have a couple of other ones, you know, free pizza when you order a large pizza. This is from a website that I did for them. Here's another one. Buy one admission, get one free. Like the free, the half off, those sorts of things. That's what always stands out on a coupon offer. And the reason for that is that's what's going to draw the people in. So you want to make sure that you are kind of aware when you're putting your text on that page how to set up a coupon offer correctly. I don't know if I have any other examples. Here's another one with the prices because they're half off. And that's probably it. So you can kind of go through your doc file and try to set it up, you know, what needs to be bigger, what needs to be smaller right within your doc file. So that way when you get over into InDesign, you have an idea of how you want to set it up. That might be helpful. All right, let's go into InDesign and start to set up the file and import those styles in. So again, it's going to be 4 1/4 by 6 with an 1/8 of an inch bleed and then a 1/4 inch margin this week. All right, so let's see, width is 6 inches. Height is 4.25. I need 2 pages. I'm going to uncheck facing pages. My margin is 0.25. I can tab over. Ooh, I want to lock those. There we go. And I need a bleed of 0.125 and create. There we go. I'm going to just move my style sheets over here and I'll open up my swatch panel too, just in case, so I can show you both ways to do this. So let's say that I did my menu last week. Over in paragraph styles or character styles, it really doesn't matter which tab you are in. See these 4 lines right here? What you want to do is click right there and go to load paragraph styles, or you can click load all text styles too. And then you're going to navigate over to week 2 to your assignment and select your InDesign folder and click open. And you want to make sure that you grab all the character styles too. So click check all and hit OK. And it's going to add in those paragraph styles here and the character styles that you created as well. If you remember, I did a header and then I did a header casual. So I have a lot of different character styles. Yes, you do. When you're creating the InDesign document, good question. You do want to create it for print because in this class, every single time for this class, because we're creating high-res documents. So yes. And you'll notice what happened is it brought over my Amelia Island red, but I don't think it brought over the gold that I made. So I can load in my swatch panel the same way. I can click on the 4 lines right there and go to load swatches. And again, select my file and hit open. And this time it brought in the gold and the red. And the reason it probably didn't bring the gold in is I don't think I had any character or paragraph style text that I had set to that gold color that I made. So again, same exact way, just by selecting. And this is kind of a good idea too. If you ever make a really good swatch library that you just love in one of your projects, you can save it by clicking on these 4 lines and going to save swatches. And, I can put this right in this DES 105 folder and just name it DES 105 swatches and hit save. I used to do this all the time. Again, when I made coupons, we had set colors that we guaranteed to our customers that if they picked one of those colors, it would always print correctly. So we had about 100 different swatches set up as a swatch library. So you wanted to make sure that you didn't have to recreate every single time all of those swatches. That would probably be your whole day at work. So we were constantly loading and saving swatches. Okay, so we've imported those paragraph and character style sheets, and I did tell you that I would show you how to kind of set up that BOGO text. So again, because I've created so many coupons in the past, I'll just kind of show you how I would set up mine, and you don't have to do it the same way that I would, but just to let you know. So I'm going to go and grab an image first. I'm going to make sure I draw my rectangle from bleed line to bleed line. Do file place, go back into week 2, grab my links, and use this one. I won't use the cookies for you guys, so everybody won't be hungry again tonight. I'll make sure that I use the wine glasses instead, right? All right, go up to object, fitting, and I want to fit my content proportionally. Whoops, wrong one. Object, fitting. Want to fill my frame proportionally. There we go. I'm going to draw my text box. Maybe I'll do it down here. And paste in my text. And that was my header casual. And I probably, with this image, would probably want to do my fancy header. And I'm going to change it to the gold. So I've got buy one, get one on one line, and I've got half off. And maybe for the half off, I'm going to change it to something bolder and white, because I really want that half off to stand out. I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger, and I'll probably add a comma there. And possibly add a drop shadow to this. Let's see. Just to make it stand out a little bit better. Okay, and I don't know if the gold's not really standing out for me, so I might try this in white too, see if it looks that stands out a little bit better. And keep it right over here. And I always like to have my logo on the front page, even if it's not something that stands out, just because I want people to know immediately, what company this is. So I'm going to put the logo somewhere over here, probably. See how it looks. kind of move it into this little bokeh area right here. And preview that. So very simple, but if I got this in the mail, that buy one, get one half off really stands out. And I'm like, ooh, we might need to go there. So, you know, it doesn't take too long, but this is how I would probably set up the front page of a postcard like this. All right, so we'll pretend, again, like I always pretend, that I have done both sides and this is ready to go. I'm gonna name it correctly. DES 105, Assessment 3, File, Save As, and I'll navigate over to my week 3 folder, to my assignment, my assessment, sorry about that. S. McNamara, hit save, and then I'm gonna package this and create a PDF. So I'm gonna do a file, package. This still looks weird for some reason. Make sure I'm in the right place. Go back over to week 3 assessment. There we go. Make sure I select that PDF that has all the printer marks that I set up. And close out my file. And double check it first before I zip it with that PDF. I'll say, man, that's a beautiful postcard. And I'll say, oh no, I forgot to do side 2, but you guys will do side 2. Again, with the information that is in the Word file. Close it out. And then I'm going to either, if I have a 1-button mouse, I'm going to click and hit Control at the same time. If I have a 2-button mouse, I'm going to right-click and go to Compress. It'll say the full folder name, whatever your folder name is, and that'll make that zip file for me. There it is. And then I would upload that right to my assessment. I'll double check the rubric. Was it on time? Is it a zipped and packaged folder? Is it to spec? Do I have the right page size, margins, bleeds? My file is not set up in spreads. Are my images sized proportionally? And are my image frames appropriately used? Am I using the style sheets from my menu? You know, and it's okay, again, to override the color and the size to suit the parameters of this project. And then, are my frames properly positioned on the layout? Again, make sure I've got everything good. I'll click that Submit Assignment, and I would be on my way. I would say to you, probably get your week 3 assessment, the postcard, out of the way first. I think it's the easier of the 2 projects this week. And then go on to working on the assignment. All right, let me make sure I close that out. I did. Great. All right, so again, this week 3 assignment, it seems a lot tougher than it actually is. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that, again, I have learned over the years creating newsletters, creating things like this. What you need to do this week, first off, is you don't need to reinvent the wheel, which is great. The example that's given to you in your downloads with the PDF, you can recreate it exactly like how it looks. You don't need to redesign it. You don't even need to be creative this week. They've given you exactly what they want for specifications for the style sheets, for fonts, for font sizes, everything. All of the images are there for you. All of the text is there for you. You are literally just recreating this newsletter to look exactly like how it looks in the PDF that you were given. And you may say to yourself, That seems kind of counterintuitive. Will I ever do anything like that? And the answer is yes. I've had to redo things like this a lot of times. Sometimes a customer only has their PDF and they want to run a new newsletter and they don't have their original files and they want you to recreate this newsletter for them. So that way they can just import, new articles or new text, new images into it following the same format. So there have been many times in the past where I've had to recreate something by building on top of what I'm creating. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. But before we get into, right into InDesign, let's read over our background. So page layout software like InDesign incorporates tools to create master pages, baseline grids, and style sheets to help designers utilize grid systems, repeating elements and standard font sets quickly and easily. Learning how to properly use master pages, InDesign's tool will be able to quickly add and change elements to multiple pages with ease, allowing designers to create multi-page documents faster and with a consistent layout. And if you're like me, you're like, yes, create it faster. All right. Baseline grids are used to take a page with a lot of text columns and line them up top to bottom. Creating layouts based on a grid system will allow the designer to properly use the elements to create their compositions. These types of finishing touches can take a multi-page layout from good to great. These may seem unnecessary or restrictive, but using these tools and sweating the details could really make the difference between having a good portfolio and having a great portfolio, and that is so true. I have looked over people's work that they have submitted to me when I've done hiring, and I really do look at these things. I look for the people who take the extra minute to put in the correct details, to really sweat out the details, because I know that they're going to do good work for me. And I'm not the only manager who did things that way. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be creating a newsletter utilizing these great tools in conjunction with the tools that you already learned how to use in week 1 and week 2. Webster's Dictionary defines a newsletter as a printed report usually issued at regular intervals giving news about or information of interest to a particular group. Research has shown that the first newsletters came out in the 1530s, so long before their larger, more complex cousin, the newspaper. Throughout the coming decades, newsletters would evolve into newspapers and become larger and more comprehensive versions of themselves. In the early 1900s, newsletters became popular once again. Businesses looked to them to be a vehicle for specialized information. By the 1930s, corporate newsletters were on the rise. From farming to fashion, there were few areas that a newsletter didn't individually cover industry trends and happenings. By the mid to late 1980s, newsletters once again soared in popularity with the advent of desktop publishing. The once labor-intensive multi-page document became something quite accessible and utilized by businesses of all kinds. Today, print and digital media combine when it comes to newsletters. Online drag and drop systems have brought a once complex e-blast onto the desktops of designers and business owners alike. So are print newsletters dead? Nope. They are still a vital way to spread news today. And it's true. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be building a 4-page newsletter utilizing style sheets and master pages. For this week's portion, we're going to focus on page 1 and focus on page 4, while setting ourselves up for next week to be able to just plop in the remaining elements. So we're going to create a new InDesign document. It's going to be 8.5 by 11. It's going to have a 1/2 inch margin on the top, the left, and the right, but a 3/4 of an inch margin on the bottom. It is going to have facing pages, so we're finally going to be able to check that button. It's going to have 3 columns with a 1/4 inch gutter between the 3 columns and 4 pages. On the master page, we're going to have a folio, which is the number down at the bottom, which you see page 1, page 2, page 3, that's a folio. And we're going to set it to auto page number. And then we're also going to put in the date and the name of the publication. We're going to have a baseline grid set up. And then we're going to use style sheets for our headers, first paragraph with the drop cap, subheaders, and body copy. The page 1 cover will have the layout, which includes the flag, which is the logo of the newsletter, the table of contents, which you will apply your knowledge of tabs here. Remember how I said that that was the one that people kind of had some difficulty with last week? I will show it to you again for our newsletter. And then we're going to have a featured article and then a sidebar with an article. We're not even going to worry about pages 2 and 3. We're going to do that next week. And then page 4, we're going to place a graduation ad, which is a PDF on the top half. And then the bottom half is going to be utilized as a mailing panel. So we'll end up removing the page number from page 4 manually, so that way that entire bottom portion could be cut off essentially and mailed back. So you're encouraged to follow the general layout from the example so you can just focus this week on learning the tools. When you're finished with your design, you're going to create a package folder. We always do this in InDesign. You will always do this for all of your InDesign courses for all of time and when you are working at your jobs. Be sure that you have a quality screen resolution PDF that's included, and zip the package folder and submit the zip file. Whenever it says quality screen resolution, that means a high-res PDF. So you will download the Student Matters newsletter assets here, and the package file is going to include the flag, which is the logo, that's an Illustrator file, 7 different Word files, each of them has the copy for the newsletter, 7 different photographs, the specifications for your style sheet, that graduation ad, which is a PDF, and then the final newsletter layout, which is also a PDF, so you can see what it needs to look like. So I should already have these downloaded, and I do. So we have our healthy snack document, our healthy snack picture, everything with food in this class, right? Healthy snacking picture too. The mock-up PDF, the Student Matters logo, that's the flag that they keep talking about, our study time document, study time image, and study time 2 image, our cyber aware tip image, how to succeed in a difficult class doc file, how to succeed in a difficult class JPEG, your mailing panel, the style sheets, and the table of contents. So let me move these out here. I like to do things such as once I've already used something, I like to put it in a folder called used and just kind of get it out of the way. It gives me a good visual of what I have left to do so I don't accidentally forget something. Another thing that you might want to do is you may want to open up all of these JPEG files in Photoshop and turn them from RGB to CMYK. All right, so let's set up our InDesign file first. So back into InDesign we go. We're going to create a new file. It is going to be, I'm just going to click on default, 8.5 by 11. It's going to have a 1/2 inch margin on the top, the left, and the right. So I want to unclick this lock. So top, inside, and outside, and then the bottom is going to be 0.75. Margin on the bottom. It's going to be 4 pages. 4 pages. Make sure facing pages is checked. I need 3 columns, so change that to 3. And my column gutter needs to be 0.25. I can change that right here. 0.25. And no bleed for this document. So you want to set it, you want to make sure that your bleed is set to 0. There's no bleed for this. Make sure I've got everything and hit create. And here we have page 1. This is the thing you're going to notice. Page 2 and 3 are set up as my facing pages, and page 4 is by itself as well. So think of a book, and I probably have an example here. Hold on one second. Let me get out my trusty little example, and I'll turn my screen on. Whoops, dropping things everywhere. All right, so I just wanted to show you exactly why it's going to be set up this way. So here's page 1, which is all by itself. Then you would open up page 2 and 3, so you can see, so we can run through each other. And then here's page 4, all by itself. So when we call something a spread, it's because it's the inside and it's going from, you know, this page, it can run across, the text usually runs up into this page, and we're going to set it up that way next week. But that's why I wanted to make sure that you weren't confused when you see, you know, page 1 set up by itself, page 2 and 3 together, and then page 4 set up by itself. It is correctly set up. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a visual when you see something else that's actually printed, why we set it up that way in InDesign. All right, turn off my camera and we'll get back in. All right, so like I told you, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to set this up. And before I do that, I don't believe it gives you a naming convention for this week. So we want to name this file kind of the same way that we name all of our files. So you can, if you want, go back to week 2 and grab that naming convention, or you can grab the naming convention from the week 3 assessment and just change assessment to assignment. Either one is fine. But when you're working with a file this big, you definitely want to make sure that you're saving and saving often for files of this size. So I'm going to go into my assignment folder. I'm just going to change it from assessment to assignment. And we're going to be working out of the same folder each week. So if you can name it 3-4, so that way you know it's week 3s and week 4s, because we'll be working on the same document for both weeks. You can name it that way. That might make it the easiest for you, and hit save. All right, the first thing I want to do is go into that student matters, and I need to fix one thing on my end. I had crossed off some items and I didn't re-download my sheet. So I just want to uncross those off. There we go. And let's set up our style sheets. So you will notice that you have a document called Style Sheets, and it's going to tell you exactly how we need to set up our baseline grid and the different specifications for our style sheets. It gives us our headers, our body copy, all of the information we need. So we don't have to come up with any of this, which is great. So let's start with the baseline grid. We're going to set it to 15 points starting at 0 relative to the top margin. The baseline grid is one of the harder parts of setting up. It's not so much that it's hard, just sometimes things are a little bit weird in InDesign with the baseline grid. So you want to go to InDesign CC, Preferences, and go to Grids. And here's your baseline grid. Now this is what I mean about it. It might be a little bit weird. All right, so we need it set to 15 point. So where it says 12, I need to change that to 15. Start at 0 relative to the top margin, not the top of the page. And you might have to change the threshold to 65% and uncheck grids in back so you can see them. And then pick a color that'll be easy for you to pick. Like I'm going to pick orange here and click OK. And you also might need to zoom in and go to View. This is what I mean. And show baseline grid. There it is. Now it's showing up. Sometimes if you're all zoomed out, you can't see it. You got to kind of zoom in a little bit to see the baseline grid. I mean, it's helpful, but I wish that they would kind of fix the interface on this a little bit. I love that it defaults to show grids in back so you can't see it at all. Where if you're putting a grid on your page, the chances are good that it's because you want to work with the grid and you'd like to see what you're working with. Adobe sometimes, they just do things that don't make a whole lot of sense. All right, next let's set up our style sheets so we can kind of have everything all ready to go when we start designing. So you can see that the first letter or the first number will be the size of the type and the second will be the leading. I want to start at my body copy and then kind of move my way down. So let's see here's my character styles. I'm going to make my body copy a paragraph style. And I'm going to name it body copy. And it needs to be Times Roman. I'm not going to be extra picky about this. If you only have Times New Roman on your machine, that is okay. I think I don't have regular Times Roman. I have Times New Roman, which I'm going to use. It needs to be 12-point type over, the leading needs to be 15-point type. And all lines need to be aligned with the baseline grid and aligned left. So let's go through our formats. Alignment left, because we know that my text boxes do weird things. Align to grid, we want to say all lines. This is under indents and spacing. I think that's all we need for this one. And then hit OK. Next, I'm going to do my bullets. Again, the bullets are going to need to be a paragraph style. So this is going to be your body copy that you just made plus bullets. So I'm going to make a new style. Double click. I want to base this on body copy, but I'm going to name it bullet points. And it's going to go down to bullets. I probably just went past it. Indents, tabs. Nope. Bullets and numbering. There we go. All right. So my list type is going to be bullets. And again, I need left indent to be 0.25. First line indent to be negative 0.25. And tab position, it doesn't say, so I'm just going to leave that as the default, I guess, of 0.25 that was there. That looks right. And if I need to fix it, I can. And this does not say to align. Oh, well, I'm following my body copy, so it probably does need to align up with my baseline grid. Okay. Next, I have a drop cap, which again, my body copy plus a drop cap. That's at one big letter. So I'm going to make a new paragraph style. Click. I'm going to name this one drop cap. And just double check everything looks right. Drop caps and nested styles. I need to go 2 lines down, 1 character over. So 2 lines down, 1 character over. And based on body copy, not bullet points. There we go. So you just want to double check that that's based on your body copy. Click OK. And my subheader is going to be body copy, but changed to 14-point type, bold, and it says red. What we're going to do is we are going to figure out the red that we need by opening up our logo in Illustrator. Let me see. The Student Matters header. You want to make sure that you open this up in Illustrator and that we're getting the right CMYK breakdown to match the red in the logo. Because again, consistency throughout our design. We're going to do the same with the blue because we're going to need a blue. Right now, I'm very unlikely to recommend if you don't open my file. All right. So I'm going to go to the eyedropper, and I'm going to double click. And there's two ways that you can do this. You can copy the hex code into InDesign and create, you know, two swatches that way. Or what you can do is, I'm going to create a new library just so that way I can show you right from the beginning. This is from the last time that I taught. I'm going to go open up Window, Libraries, if it's not already open, and go down to Create a New Library. And I'm going to name this Newsletter. And I want to color swatch. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. I want to add this color to my library. If I need to add it, I believe I need to add it to my color swatches first. So I'm going to drag it onto my swatch panel and then drag it in, or add the plus sign. That's what it is. Add the fill color to my library. There we go. Again, the libraries work different in every single program. It is so annoying. Click the plus sign, add that fill color. There we go. All right. Thought I was in Photoshop or InDesign for a second there. Now when I go back into InDesign, if I go into, again, it's not named the same. If I go into CC Libraries and I scroll down to Newsletter, here are those two colors right there. And I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to right click on them and I'm going to say Add to Swatches. And these should be down there. These should be them. Let me double check. 199.29. Yep. All right. And here it is. And again, you know, you can kind of double click and rename this. I'm going to name it Newsletter Blue and double click. Oops. In the name. There we go. Newsletter Red. And I'm going to move them to the top just to make my life easier. Just drag them right up to the top so they're under the black and under the white. All right. There we go. And go back into my Word file. So now I'm going to make that subheader in that red. I'm going to make sure I use that Newsletter Red. So one more paragraph style. Double click. Make sure it's based off of body copy, not drop cap. And I need it to be 14-point type instead of 12. Bold, so change the regular to bold. And go down. And we gotta find that color. Character color, there we go. And change that to that Newsletter Red and hit OK. All right, so we have these done. Next, we need to create our headers. I'm going to create our headers as character styles, not paragraph styles, or as character styles, not paragraph styles. And we don't want these to snap to the baseline grid. So we have header 1, which is our biggest header. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to make a new character style, name it header 1. And this needs to be Helvetica bold. They all need to be Helvetica bold. And if you have a million Helveticas on your computer like I do, just find the first Helvetica bold. That is completely fine. 32 points over 34 point type. Leave that as is. And then character color is that newsletter blue. And make a new one. This one's gonna, whoops, be header 2. I'm gonna base it off of header 1 though, and change the font size to 24 over 25. Okay, and header 3 can be based off of either. This one's going to be red though, 18 point type over 19 leading. And red. Good, good, good. And okay. So now I have all of my paragraph styles and all of my character styles created. So I can close this style sheet out. I'll save it. Close that out too. All right, so let's take a look at master pages first, because this might get a little, master pages can be a little bit confusing at first. So you need to open up the Pages tab. If it's not already open, go to Window and go down to Pages and click that open. And you'll kind of need to like scroll up, but your master pages are up here. And you will notice that the A master is already applied to each of your pages on in your file. So I'm going to double click on the master and it brings me up into the master. So at this point, anything, let's say that I put on the master, let's say I just draw this big square here. It's going to show up on all of my pages because I've applied it to my master. So that's how a master page works. Now the thing that we need, or there's a couple of things that we need on our master, is we need to add our folio and the bottom portion of the newsletter. So this portion, this line right here, the month, the year, the page, and then student matters, we're going to add this information to the master page. So let's go back into InDesign. So I want to show you how to add that here. All right, I'm going to do a file place. And navigate over to week 3. Assignment, my student matters folder. And I want to grab this newsletter mockup.pdf and click open. And I'm going to click right in the corner here. And I'm going to have to manually move this over. So you want to make sure that you have it lined up with, oh, I forgot to change my zoom tool. You want to make sure you have it lined right up with your margins. There we go. All right, looks good. And what we're going to focus on is recreating down here this line in the student matters. So in my layers, I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to call this new layer working newsletter. I'll hit OK. And then layer 1 is going to become my originals layer. I'm going to lock it. So now I don't have to worry that I accidentally moved things out of the way and stuff like that. And I'm going to work on top of this layer and recreate things on top of this layer. What you might want to do before you lock the layer is you might want to just kind of bring down the opacity of the original so it's a little bit easier to see the layer you're working on. You might want to just bring it down to maybe 40% and then lock it. Again, you know that the color, you've already set your color swatches, so you kind of understand that. And before I do this, I need to fix scrubby zoom. Fix scrubby zoom in InDesign. I forget how to do this. I press the Option Alt key and press to zoom out. No. It's got to be in my preferences. I cannot stand that scrubby zoom. Interface type. I'll probably, if it's not in here, I won't do it. I think I told you how I trashed all of my preferences when my InDesign wasn't working correctly, and yeah. Well, I know a couple of people don't like it either. Package preset. Maybe I need to be on the tool. I feel like last time I had to do it, it was up here somewhere. Oh well, we're just stuck with scrubby zoom today. Menu items, zoom in, zoom out. Yeah. Ah, animated zoom. There we go. If you do not like scrubby zoom, I'm pretty sure. There we go. All right. Get rid of it that way. Anyhow, back to the matter at hand. Let's recreate this bottom portion. And I'm going to show you how to set up your page numbers so they automatically number. So you can either use the pen tool or the line tool to do this line here. I'm going to use the line tool just to be a little different. I usually use the pen tool. Today I'm going to use the line tool. I want to make sure I'm on my working layer. I don't need it to be any color filled in, but I do need the background color, the border color, to be my newsletter blue. And click here. Draw my line. And I believe it's 2 point. And if you want to make sure that you get it exactly to the edges, what you can do is kind of drag your ruler out right to your margin. Both sides and get it lined up perfectly. There you go. Then I'm going to make this Student Matters text. So I'm going to draw my text box. And Student Matters is Helvetica Bold. However, I'm not 100% sure on the font size for this. So we'll have to Student Matters. It probably is 12-point type, and student is in blue. Matters is in red. Maybe I can try 11. Maybe it's 11. Ooh, perfect. And there's no space between the two words. And then this is the part that some people find to be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to draw my text box. And the only time I need it to align right by default, it's not going to do it, but you know, these things happen. This is going to be times regular, I believe, and we are in May. I don't know why it's not typing. May 2018. I had to think about that for a second. Then space. A bullet point is holding down Option and 8 at the same time if you are on a Mac. This is, let's go with 11 point type so we match the student matters. And then you're going to do a space, and you're going to go to type, insert special character, insert special character, markers, current page number. So I'm going to kind of leave this open like this just so that way you guys can see type, insert special characters, markers, current page number. And it's going to put an A right there. And you can change that to black. But when you get to each of your pages, if I go to page 1, it's going to have a page 1 on it. If I go to page 3, it's going to be page 3. So that's how we set that up. The A automatically changes page number based on the page you are in. I want to, however, now go back to my layers and unlock my originals. I'm going to delete the original newsletter that I put there because I don't want that to show on all of my pages. And I'll go back to, click on page 1. And here we go. We have the whole bottom section. It's set up at the bottom, and it has the page number, the correct page number. Page 3 is already set up as well, even though we don't need to worry about that this week. And there's nothing on page 4 because we didn't set up the left side of our facing pages in our master yet. We'll do that next week. And then we'll also deal with the fact next week that it puts a page number on page 4 and we'll take that page number off. So this week, we don't need to worry about it. All right, so before I start redesigning, or actually just designing because I'm following the layout, I'm going to, again, go to my originals and I want to place that same cover on this originals layer and lock it again on page 1. And there's a reason why I'm doing it on page 1 and I didn't just leave it on there. It's because when I go to design page 4, I need to use a different page of the PDF. And actually, why don't we just do page 4 first? We'll set that one up. So I'm going to do, this time I'll draw a square and see if it'll just place my PDF correctly in there. I'm going to do File, Place. And you need to change some of your options right here in order to show page 4 and be able to place page 4, because by default, it's only going to place page 1. So select your PDF and click on Show Import Options and then hit Open. And what you want to do is navigate over to page 4 and click OK. And it did not place it. And then go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame, Proportional. No. Oh, for some reason, it never wants to place my PDFs correctly. Fitting. Oh, that's why. Let me try it again. Okay. Object, transform, object. Fitting. Fill frame, proportion. No, all right. Hold on. I was trying to show you an easier way, but I'm just going to do it the same way I did. File, place. Your options might be set up correctly where it doesn't do this. Again, my show options, import options is clicked. Navigate over to page 4, hit OK, I'm going to click up in the edge. Yeah, it's kind of, my PDF is placing weird this evening. They're placing cropped for some reason, and they shouldn't be because they're not cropped. So again, you want to make sure that it's right where it needs to be up against the edge. So even though we place this and it looks correct, we need to redesign this. So this should be on my originals. I'm gonna lock that layer and go back up to my working newsletter layer. And I'm going to place the actual ad from my downloads asset right on top of this one. You don't have to recreate anything. Just again, do File, Place, and find the ad, which is, where are you? The other PDF file. Seems to be missing from my downloads. Let me re-download that. Here you are. I don't know where you ran off to, but that's okay. And actually, I should probably, while I'm in there, replace that one. Maybe something weird happened. Let's replace it. Hopefully none of my other files are weird, but if they are, that's all right. All right, so I'm going to do a file place and actually place the ad this time. Here it is, graduation ad. You can either leave show import options clicked or you can unclick it. I'm going to unclick it because I don't need to show any options. And place that over in the top corner. Then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to draw my text box. And I want to make sure I'm on body copy. And I'm going to open up my graduation mail panel information. Here it is. And just select this, copy it, and paste it in there. For some reason, oh, none. There we go. You might need to make sure that you change your character style to none if it was on one of the headers still. And then your paragraph style can be body copy. You might need to move it over just a smidge. And my times is different than the times that was used to create this. So it always seems to do this. Yeah, it doesn't. There we go. It's just, and you might find that that happens with yours as well. Don't worry about it. You're not going to lose points if your fonts are a little bit off. Just use the fonts that you have on your machine. And zoom out. Then you're going to want to unlock that layer again and remove the original from the background. And you can double check when you zoom in. Make sure that your text defaulted to sit right on that baseline grid because we told it to align to the grid, so it should be sitting on it just like you would write on lined paper. And save your file because we got one page down. All right, so let's work on page 1 next. So again, on my originals, I'm gonna place my mock-up. You can either, again, have show import options. We're only placing page 1, so just clicking on it will do as well. Let's try 0, 5.5. Double check it on this edge. One of the edges is always right on, and this one's a little bit off when I zoom in. And again, I'm going to bring the opacity down to about 40% just so it's not driving me crazy when I'm looking at it. And I'm going to lock that originals layer and work on my working newsletter layer. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my logo up at the top. So do a file place. And I'm going to select that Student Matters header.ai. That's our logo. And click and place that. Click right on the edge. And I'll place it perfectly. And then I like to deal with things that are happening in the background. So let me open up the actual, oh, it is okay. So you can see that you have a blue square here that runs behind this with a red outline, and then you can see that the text is built on top of it. So I like to make sure that I have things layered appropriately. You can use your layers in InDesign and, you know, create a layer for maybe background color and then, you know, text, things like that, or you can just set it up a certain way. So I'll do it with layers because I know a lot of you guys, you like to work in layers, and that's awesome. So background, I'm going to say background blue, page 1. I like to be very descriptive when I name my layers. And then cyber aware will be on top of that. So I'll set these two up on different layers. And again, another tip would be set, you know, add your background, add your border color, your red, add your newsletter blue. I can tell you it's going to be 20%. So I'll help you out there. Set that. And then once you draw the square, either turn that layer off so you can see the text, or set the color on the inside to none. So you can see to follow the text behind it that you're following. This is why we place this, so we can build right on top of the original. So you can see exactly where everything's supposed to go. So again, you can either turn that layer off or just set the inside color to none, either or. I'm going to turn the layer off just because I think I'll notice that sometimes I forget to fill the background color back in. And this has a photo, that cyber tip photo. So I'm going to draw the square first for that photo. And do file, place. And all of the photos are named based on what the name of the article is. So grab it, place it, and it's going to be way too big. So I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. That'll fit it right in there. I can double check it. Against the original. Looks correct. And then I'm going to finish off this one area, so that way I have one whole area that's done. So let's go over into Word, close out anything we're not using, and open up the Cyber Tip Aware or Cyber Aware Tip document file. And I'm going to draw my text box first for my header, and then I'm going to draw my text box for my article. So set that up. And I believe this is header 2, so I'm going to set that up like that. And it's going to be centered. Go into Word and just grab Cyber Aware Tip and copy it. Or, yep. And then you can just kind of move that where it needs to go. And this should not be set up to a paragraph style. So if you click basic off and header 2 again, now it's not set up, it's not attached to the baseline grid. So again, just go to that one that we never, it overrides it. It clears out setting it to the baseline grid. So now we can move it and it's not going to keep itself stuck to the grid because we didn't want that for the headers. All right, next, I'm gonna draw text box to the article, the rest of the article. And I'm going to just set it to body copy first, and then I'll manually go in and fix the different paragraphs. I'll grab the rest of this, copy it. Again, character needs to be set to none, paragraph to body. And my first paragraph needs to have that drop cap with the letter A. And you might need to go in, just possibly fix this. We nudge it over a bit. Let's try 2.2 on the width. 0.21 maybe? And up just a smidge. There we go. And you can hit Shift Enter to add in if you want. I'm gonna leave. I think that's fine. I need to just move it over a smidge. And then keep a clean machine. This one is that, oh, I never renamed it. That's subheader. That's what it was, subheader. And that doesn't have a drop cap. Anything that's just getting a little too close to the edge, do a Shift Enter to move it down. There we go. And again, if you want to see what yours looks like, just kind of turn off the originals layer. There we go. I had to manually add in that hyphen to get the side to look right. Turn that back on. And then we'll deal with this section over here. So I'm going to just work my way down these two columns because these two span the two column. All right, so I want to make sure, again, because this is a headline, I'm going to have my body, my text box at the default basic paragraph, the one with the brackets around it. And then this is a header 1. And we need to find how to succeed in a difficult class. Open that up. Copy that. Paste it in. And a difficult class. There we go. Pretty spot on. Next, I'll draw the picture. Oh, I almost used the wrong rectangle box. Caught myself at the last second. And do a file place. This one is how, here we go. And again, go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. And remember for the menu where we linked our text boxes, so the text would flow up and into the next column, we're going to do the same exact thing with these two columns of text. But we also need to set this image to have a text wrap override. So if your text wrap is not open, you want to go to Window. I always forget where it is. Type in table, utilities, tools, styles, no, text wrap, here it is, Window, text wrap, and just open that up. And click on the one that says wrap around a bounding box. It's the second option. And we just needed to move the text over on the right-hand side and on the bottom, basically. So, but it's gonna, if we set it to the bottom, it's gonna mess with this text box. I think if we just set it to the right-hand side, it'll nudge it enough to keep emphasizes over and not running underneath. So let's see, where's the right-hand side? Right here. You'll notice it's gonna give you this imaginary line. You wanna just match that right up with the left-hand side of this text box. Oh, and unlink these, whoops. Unlink these, so you're only moving this over. 0.1875 will be golden. And you can kind of move that out of the way. We'll draw our text boxes. For the rest of our article, I'm going to draw one that goes to here. And I'm going to set my character style in it to none. I'm going to set my paragraph style to body copy. And I will draw my second text box here. Do the same thing, body, and set that to none. But this one's all set to go. And go back to my Word file. And here's another tip. We have automatically set up our, hold on one second. I'm just answering in the chat. Sorry about that. We've already set up bullet points as a paragraph style, but when you copy this over from Microsoft Word, it's also going to bring this bullet point with it, which is really confusing. So select this text and in Word, get rid of the bullet points. It'll leave things, you know, tabbed over, which is fine, but you're going to really basically help yourself out in the long run by taking those bullet points out in Microsoft Word before you copy and paste everything over into InDesign. So copy this, click in the first text box that you drew and paste it in. And again, same thing. Let me just hide Zoom for a second because it's all over my screen. There we go. Same thing, you're going to grab the red text box, click on it, and then click into that other text box. And you're going to need to manually take out those returns. First paragraph should have the drop cap. Second paragraph all the way through to pay attention, to emphasize, is your bullet points. Whoops, I missed one. If you is a bullet point as well. That's a bullet point. And then remove that return. You might need to open this up just a smidge to get the word do up on the next line. There we go. Just like one off. So again, just kind of work with the width of the text boxes. I might have my bullet point in the wrong place. Let's see. Simple as, I'm missing a word. So, oh no, I'm not. Here it is. Simple as that. Let's see. What can I move down? There. That looks more like it. There we go. All right. So this section's all completed. Next, I'm just going to make the dots in the table of contents, which I'm going to show you a different way. Oh, yes, it will. Somebody said, I have a feeling my OCD is going to kick in. You notice how I have to stop myself because I'm running out of time. Because my OCD kicks in so much when I do these. All right, so I'm going to use the pen tool for this. I'm going to click and click, holding down the shift key. I'm going to change it to 2 point, or I think 2 point is correct, and go to stroke. And under type, I want to change it to dotted. I might need to go a little bit higher. 3 point is correct. Move that down. And then the only thing we have left is a table of contents, which we're going to use tabs. So I'm going to draw my text box. Close out this file. Don't save it. Open up my table of contents text file. And you'll notice that the tabs and the page numbers aren't set, which is fine. So just copy this and just change it to none for right now. This is our header 3. This is bold, I believe. So we're just going to change this. We're going to override this, body copy. Three. There we go. And I need to just manually override this and make it bold. Now, I'm going to show you a different way to set up the tabs for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Command A. Inside the text box, I'm going to select all of the text. I'm going to go up into Type, and I'm going to click on Tabs. And it's going to put the ruler right over this text box. I want to select my right justified tab, click right above that arrow, and drag it right to the edge of the numbers. And then put for a leader, a dot. Then go into the text box. I'm going to hit the tab button, 1. Tab 1. Tab 2. Tab 3. Tab 4. I can close that out. Zoom out. Go to my layers. Turn off my original. Give a good look-see. Things look good. I'm going to save this file. I do too. I have to show you guys the other way for the menu, but I like using my tabs this way too. All right, next I'm going to package the file to submit it. So I'm going to do a file, package, make sure everything looks good, hit package, hit continue. I'm going to go to week 3 into my assignment folder. I'm going to make sure that my printer is set to high quality print. I don't need my marks and bleeds for this. And I'm going to hit the package folder and hit OK. Then I'll navigate over to that assignment folder. Here it is. I can close out this InDesign file. Again, just give a quick look. Page 1 looks good. Page 2 and 3 are blank. Page 4 looks good, nothing on the bottom. Close that out. And then again, either if you have a 2-button mouse, you're gonna right click and hit compress. If you have a 1-button mouse, you're gonna hit the control key and hit compress. That's on a Mac, and it should be the same thing on a PC. Compress that folder. Go into the assignment, double check my rubric. Is it on time? Is it to spec? Is page 1 designed? Is page 4 designed? Do I have my style sheets? And do I have my master pages with my auto page numbers? Everything looks good. I'll click submit assignment, choose that file, the zip file. And again, you can choose to add another file if you want. Open up your folder and select the PDF, upload them both, and submit assignment. All right, I know that this was a lot, but I appreciate you guys, sticking it out tonight. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email me early this week so that way I can get back in touch with you on time. And, get this started kind of early. If you follow along with my instructions, you should be able to set this up just as I have. If you happen to have your tablet still, try to watch the YouTube video on the tablet so you can pause it and do what I do on your laptop, and that way you can kind of run 2 different screens. It might make it a little bit easier for you to work along. Now, does anybody have any questions before we end tonight? Oh, and I just wanted to really quickly show you the 2 examples from last week that I just thought were really cool that I picked. Open them both up. So here was example 1, which was Starlight Bistro, page 1. And then page 2, I thought that came out really awesome. And then this one happened to be for Starlight Bistro too. Page 1. And page 2, again, really awesome. So I thought, I saw some really great menu designs this week. I just wanted to show you guys those too. All right, so if there aren't any questions, we'll end it for this week. And thank you guys so much for coming tonight. And, if you have any questions, please make sure that you're coming into the multi-session. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.